Before we begin today's story, take a moment to subscribe if you enjoy emotionally driven stories that stay with you long after the video ends. These are the kinds of stories that aren't loud or rushed, they quietly settle into your heart. And if you stay until the end, you might find yourself thinking about this one longer than you expect. Ethan Walker never expected a regular Thursday afternoon to become one of the most meaningful moments of his life. He had stopped by his grandmother's cozy home in Oregon to help prepare for a local fundraiser. The house smelled of fresh tea and old books, sunlight stretching across the wooden floor. It felt like any other calm visit, until he stepped into the living room and saw Clare Dawson already there, gently sorting through boxes of decorations. Clare had been his grandmother's longtime friend, calm, thoughtful, and quietly warm. She carried a peaceful presence that made busy rooms feel slower. When she looked up and smiled, Ethan felt a familiar ease he could never quite explain. They greeted each other and began working side by side, folding ribbons and organizing supplies. Clare joked about being terrible at crafts, and Ethan laughed, the mood light and comfortable. A few minutes later, his grandmother stepped outside to take a phone call, leaving the two of them alone. The room grew still except for the soft rustle of paper and distant birds outside the window. Then it happened. Clare shifted her step, and the edge of a loose rug slipped beneath her foot. She lost her balance with a small gasp. Ethan reacted instantly, stepping forward and steadying her before she could fall. "I've got you," he said gently. She tried to stand properly, but pain flickered across her face. Her ankle had twisted. Ethan kept his voice calm and reassuring, making sure she felt supported and steady. "Don't rush," he told her. "Take your time." Clare nodded, clearly uncomfortable, but trying to stay composed. She apologized softly for the trouble, but Ethan shook his head. "You're not a burden," he said. "I'm right here." He helped her move slowly toward the sofa, one careful step at a time. She accepted the support, trusting his pace. The moment felt unexpectedly personal. Not dramatic, not romantic, just deeply human. Two people sharing a quiet moment of care and patience. Once she sat down, Clare brushed back her hair and tried to laugh off her embarrassment. A faint flush remained in her cheeks, but her eyes held gratitude. She admitted she wasn't used to depending on others. Life had taught her to handle things alone. Ethan gently told her that strength also meant knowing when to accept help. She smiled thoughtfully and returned the compliment, saying she admired how naturally he showed up for his grandmother. He tried to shrug it off, but she insisted kindness like that mattered. A soft silence followed, not awkward but understanding. The kind of pause where words aren't necessary. When his grandmother returned with a first aid kit and an ice pack, the practical care began. But something subtle had shifted. A quiet trust had formed, the kind that appears in unexpected moments and stays longer than anyone plans. And neither of them fully realized yet how important that small moment would become. The ice pack helped, but Clare's ankle was clearly swollen. Ethan's grandmother insisted she stay seated while they finished the basic preparations. Clare protested at first, but eventually gave in, laughing at herself for being forced to rest. Ethan noticed how she tried to stay cheerful, even when discomfort showed in the tightness of her expression. She kept thanking them, more than necessary, as if gratitude was her way of staying independent. To distract her, Ethan brought over the decoration box and sat across from her on the coffee table. Together they sorted ribbons and cards while she remained comfortably seated. The work was slower now, but somehow more enjoyable. They began talking, not small talk but real conversation. Clare shared stories about the fundraiser's early days, how it started as a tiny neighborhood effort and slowly grew into something meaningful. Ethan listened closely, seeing a side of her he hadn't fully known. Passionate, resilient, quietly devoted to her community. "You notice people when they think no one sees them," Ethan said at one point. "You always have." Clare looked surprised. "That might be the nicest observation anyone's made about me." He smiled. "It's true." The afternoon light shifted warmer as time passed. What started as an accidental pause had turned into an easy rhythm of conversation. No rush, no pressure, just presence. At one point, Clare grew thoughtful. Funny how the moments you don't plan, she said softly. are the ones that show you who people really are. Ethan met her eyes. He understood what she meant, not just about the fall, but about everything that followed it. Patience, care, attention. Small choices revealing character. When she later tried standing again, the pain had eased slightly. This time she managed with only a little support. Progress, small but encouraging. She looked genuinely relieved. "You didn't just help me walk," she said lightly. "You helped me slow down." "Maybe we both needed that," Ethan replied. His grandmother watched the exchange from the kitchen doorway with a knowing, gentle smile but said nothing. Before leaving, Claire thanked him again, but this time it sounded different. Less polite, more personal. "Today could have been embarrassing," she said. Instead, it was unexpectedly kind. Ethan answered simply, "I'm glad I was here." As the door closed behind her and the house grew quiet again, he realized something subtle had changed. Not in a dramatic, cinematic way, but in the quiet way real connections begin. Not with big declarations, but with a steady hand, a shared pause, and the feeling of being seen. And he had a feeling this wouldn't be the last time their paths crossed in a way that mattered. The days after the fundraiser passed quietly, but Ethan found his thoughts returning to that afternoon more often than he expected. Not because of the accident, but because of the conversation, the calm, the strange sense of familiarity he'd felt sitting across from Clare. Life resumed its usual pace. Work errands, routine visits to his grandmother. Still, something felt slightly different, like a page had turned without noise. 3 days later, his grandmother called. "Could you stop by and drop this soup off for Clare?" she asked. "Her ankle's better, but I told her she shouldn't be standing too long yet." Ethan agreed without hesitation. Claire seemed surprised when she opened the door. Not dramatically, just a soft widening of the eyes, followed by that same warm smile he remembered. "You didn't have to deliver it yourself," she said. "I was already nearby," he answered, a harmless excuse, though he'd taken the longer route on purpose. She invited him in. The house was neat, sunlit, filled with plants near the windows. A quiet place, peaceful like her. They talked over tea this time. No accident, no urgency, just two people choosing not to rush the moment. Claire walked carefully but confidently now. Progress showed in her posture. She thanked him again, properly she said, for how he handled everything that day. Not just the help, but the way he made it feel normal instead of awkward. "You gave me dignity in a clumsy moment," she told him. "People remember that." Ethan didn't know what to say to that, so he answered honestly, "You would have done the same." She smiled. "I hope so." Their conversation drifted into deeper places. Missed chances, unexpected turns in life. How adulthood rarely looks the way we imagine it will. There was no oversharing, no forced closeness. Just openness. At one point she said, almost to herself, "It's rare to feel comfortable around someone without trying." He understood exactly what she meant. When he finally stood to leave, the goodbye lingered half a second longer than usual. Not uncomfortable, just aware. Like both of them recognized something gentle had started, though neither tried to name it yet. At the door, Claire added one last thing. "Next time," she said lightly. "Let's meet when neither of us is falling over." Ethan laughed. "Deal." Walking back to his car, he realized the truth wasn't in the drama of the moment they met. It was in what followed. The ease. The respect. The quiet pull of wanting to continue a conversation instead of ending it. Some connections don't arrive like lightning. Some arrive like warmth. Steady, unnoticed at first, and then impossible to ignore. And this, he felt, was only the beginning.